This is Ken Pyle. We're at the 2012 Broadband Communities Summit, and it truly is a broadband community because it's bringing people from around the world, and one of those is Lindsay Annison of the Barn Project. Yeah. Lindsay, you have a very inspirational story, and let's go back in time to 1994 and tell us how this started.
Okay, I'm a single mum with twins. I needed to be able to work from home. I spotted a niche in internet marketing, which was very fledgling at the time, and then discovered as I got more into it, I needed a better internet connection. We were all on dial-up, and I met a few American guys online who said you need a T1. I looked into T1s, and to get anything approaching that was going to cost me £20,000, which for a small business was completely unreachable. And so I started to campaign for broadband before broadband became a term, and it's gone on for 17 years.
And you've done some really interesting things, and you've documented it in books here, which is pretty fascinating, but it looks like one of the first efforts you had was actually wireless broadband.
Yeah, we built a lot of wireless broadband networks when the incumbent British Telecom was doing ADSL, because they decided it wasn't economically viable in a lot of rural areas. So we built a lot of wireless networks.
And this is all bootstrap networks, right?
Completely, yeah. It's been very difficult to get funding because the telcos are constantly saying we're going to do it, and no one really wants to interfere in the marketplace. Then the funding has been really hard.
So it's evolved over time, and now you're actually doing fiber to the home, and it's community funded.
Yeah, we did apply for funding, and we were given £750,000 by the EU, but that was taken off us to be spent in a central pot for the whole of the county instead of just our 8 parishes. So we had to find an alternative route to funding, which meant we went to the community and issued shares, and that happened on December the 19th last year.
And those shares are voting shares, or is a loan type thing? How is it working? Is it an equity?
You can invest between £100, which is $150-ish, to £20,000. It's one member, one vote. It's a bit like a co-op. It's called a community benefit company. And people, on average, we've had over 200 people invest already in that, on average investing £1,500, which also entitles them to 1 year's free connection, a gigabit per second connection, symmetrical, and a free install of the fibre into their home.
I want to talk about the gigabit in a moment, but first, getting back to the network itself, the people actually are doing the installation work and so forth, right?
Yeah, because the ducting that we're putting into every home, farm, business is exactly the same as the water pipe that the farmers lay anyway to their water troughs in the field. So it seems sensible, instead of getting a contractor in, that we use the local skills and we pay them for doing the job.
And it saved a lot of money.
It saved a huge amount of money. It's reduced the dig cost by, well, down to about 10% of what British Telecom would normally expect to spend.
And describe the area a little bit. I mean, is it a rich area? Is it very densely populated?
It's not even vaguely densely populated. There are probably more sheep than people. It's not rich. Rural areas in the UK have really struggled, especially in the north of England. Agriculture's on the decline. It's not a tourist honeypot. So the fact that we've managed to raise so much money from the community, it indicates the appetite and the frustration that people have for getting decent broadband.
And again, you had wireless, so you had a certain level of broadband there, but why fiber?
Well, the wireless we've had a few issues with. We have trees growing in the middle of the signal that stops everyone connecting. It's high maintenance, and fiber's the future, and people are wanting to do much more now than they did, say, 10 years ago when we started. And so we're building a future-proof network. And if you're going to do it once, you might as well do it correctly, and that's what we're trying to do. And
only do it once. And one of the things that I found unique was the fact that you were able to somehow get back to a peering point, I think you said in Manchester. And so how did that process work?
Well, we're very lucky in that we have fibre that goes through our area back to Manchester at Telly City. So basically we talked to the people who owned it very nicely until they said we could have access onto it. So we're actually peering back to Manchester, which saves a huge amount of money, and it means we can offer a gig. So we have 2 10-gig feeds back to Manchester, which will support probably 3 or 4 times the number of people we're expecting to connect.
And what was the cost for the service?
We're charging £30 a month, which is $50, and that's for gigabit symmetrical dumb fat pipe into the home.
And so then customers can layer on their own services like Vonage or telephony?
Yeah, we thought about it quite hard whether we should become a reseller of services or offer, VoIP. And most of it's already out there. People watch films on YouTube or they get Hulu, Netflix, etc. Love film. And it just seemed like our support costs were probably going to be quite high for those things. And why reinvent the wheel? Mm-hmm. Netflix do films very well. Let them use that, and people will make their own choices. So we're just going to be really, really good at what we do, which is the dumb fat pipe.
So how big is it in terms of staff?
There are no staff at the moment. We're all volunteers.
Okay.
The only way to get to the point where it's profitable and we're paying interest on the shares is for everyone to pitch in. So there's been a phenomenal amount of voluntary work. We have people out at the moment walking the routes where the fibre's going to go, mapping it. We have people doing the accounts, drawing up way leaves, making tea and cakes for the people who dig. It's all at the moment voluntary.
So has it kind of brought the community together in a different way?
Massively. I mean, it's rural areas in the UK are quite close-knit anyway. Lots of people are related, but it's fired people up, the fact that we're doing it when no one else in England is.
Or maybe the world. That's a very unique model.
Maybe.
So where do you see it going next? Is it just continual expansion, or are you going to be able to move into other areas?
Well, at the moment we're just focusing on Lancashire and the county, but so many people are interested in it. I think we've started our own tourist industry now, people coming to visit. And, I mean, we'll see where it goes. Obviously, it'd be nice to be able to advise other communities how to do it the barn way. Are we going to want to continue digging further afield? I don't know. Let's see how it goes in our bit first.
And from a county government perspective, I know in the U.S. a lot of the times the issues are just getting rights away and regulation and that sort of thing. Has that been a challenge?
Well, the rights of way, it's quite different in the UK because you own your roads here, or the municipalities own the roads. We don't have that issue. It's owned by county or nationally, and we're not actually going on roads. We're trying to go on the other side of the wall in the fields anyway. But county are doing a county-wide project with BT with some of our money, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay, so yeah, I guess just like anywhere else, there's always challenges.
Yeah, and competition as well will be good because British Tele, there is no other operator who's offering a gigabit per second, in the foreseeable future. So we're a long way ahead of the curve at the moment.
So what advice would you have for others wanting broadband in their communities?
Just do it yourself. I mean, it really is that important, I think.
It's JFID, was that the...
JFDI, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just do it, and the F is silent.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, appreciate your time here, and thank you for coming to America.
Thanks. Very much.